Good morning. Just coming up to 6:01 on this Tuesday morning, and we begin with a scary situation in East Vancouver last night with a police takedown happening in a very public place. It happened just after 8 o'clock as officers surrounded a suspect vehicle at Hastings and Renfrew Streets. Police reportedly used a flashbang to get 3 people to surrender. They were arrested and taken away before evidence was seized from the car. No one appeared to be injured during this incident. Police are only saying the takedown is part of an ongoing investigation. A Nanaimo sawmill is reopening its doors today, days after an unthinkable tragedy. Western Forest Products is resuming operations this morning, but the company has told workers to take some more time off if they need it. 2 employees were killed and 2 others were injured in Wednesday's shooting spree. Former mill worker Kevin Addison has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. The motive for the shootings remains unclear. A 41-year-old Richmond man has been charged with second-degree murder in the weekend death of his wife. A woman's body was discovered inside an apartment complex on Sunday afternoon in the 7,000 block of Granville Avenue near Gilbert Road. Jian Hua Wu was arrested and appeared in court yesterday. The victim's identity has not been released as police are still trying to contact her family overseas. Vancouver Rape Relief is highlighting 5 violent attacks against women over the last 5 weeks, 3 in which the victims were killed, including this case in Saanich. Women's advocates say domestic violence is a systemic problem in BC that's becoming a crisis. The organization says restraining orders are not protecting women against former partners. It wants greater police protection and an increase to services like legal aid and social assistance.
If needed, they should put an officer next to the women's house. There is no way that should compromise women's and children's lives. So immediately we demand a much better response from police to all calls that women makes regarding male violence.
Vancouver Rape Relief and Women's Shelter has a confidential 24-hour crisis line for women dealing with domestic problems. You can reach them at 604-872-8212. A man claiming to be the leader of the Nigerian Islamic extremist group Boko Haram says nearly 300 teenage girls kidnapped from their school 3 weeks ago will remain slaves. In a nearly hour-long video, the alleged head of the extremist group admits to abducting the girls. He also threatens to attack more schools and abduct more children. The 276 girls were abducted last month when armed men overwhelmed security guards at a local school, pulled the girls out of bed, and forced them into trucks. The murder trial of Oscar Pistorius continues in South Africa this morning. A man who lives next door to the Olympian testified for the defense today. He said he heard a man crying loudly the night Reva Steenkamp was killed and called security for help. Pistorius insists he shot and killed his girlfriend by mistake, believing she was an intruder. But the prosecution says he intentionally killed her. The National Energy Board says railways are becoming a more popular way to ship oil. Data shows in the first quarter of 2012, 16,000 barrels of crude were exported by rail every single day. By the fourth quarter of 2013, that number had risen to 146,000 barrels per day. Moving oil by rail has been on the rise as production increases in the Alberta oil sands and opposition to pipeline proposals remains high. Kinder Morgan is on the defensive today as it seeks approval for its plan to expand its Trans Mountain pipeline through BC. The energy company is being ridiculed for saying in its application to the National Energy Board that oil spill response and cleanup creates business and employment opportunities for affected regions. Kinder Morgan Canada says its statement has been taken out of context. John Horgan is no stranger to the BC legislature, but yesterday was definitely a little different in Victoria. Horgan rallied the NDP troops after becoming leader of the party over the weekend. The Wanda Fuca MLA was acclaimed after running unopposed. Horgan takes over from Adrian Dix, who presided over a disappointing defeat in last year's election, despite a lead in the polls.
Someone said the other day that they know more about me in 6 hours as leader of the opposition than they did the last leader after 3 years. So I'm a pretty open book. I'm an extrovert. I like wading into crowds of people. I like meeting people and talking about their issues. It's what gets me up every day.
Horgan will have plenty of time to settle into this position. The next provincial vote is not scheduled to happen until the spring of 2017. Well, it's expected to be a busy day at Rogers Arena in downtown Vancouver with a lot of resumes being handed in. Canucks Sports and Entertainment is wrapping up a two-day jobs fair from 1 until 7 o'clock today. Hundreds of positions are up for grabs with the Vancouver Canucks at Rogers Arena. The many positions available include chefs, supervisors, suite hosts, and server positions. Japan celebrated its annual Children's Day yesterday, and as you're about to see, unlike in Western countries, in Japan, the wail of a baby's cry is a good thing. This is the annual Crying Sumo contest. About 800 babies ages 6 months to 18 months took part this year. Babies dressed traditionally sit face-to-face in a sumo ring. The one who cries first is declared the winner. People believe the loud cry of a baby will ward off evil spirits and bring healthy growth. Some of these kids burst into tears before their bout even began. A couple, though, remained blissfully unaware of exactly what was going on.